down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round. You can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we can walk it out. Move mountains.
Hello, good afternoon everybody, and welcome to Dimpers TV. This afternoon we've got a really wonderful special lady with us talking about autism, and we've actually entitled this Autism and Not a Stigma. It's a subject that's really close to my heart, if I must say, because autism is something that's not very well understood, and people have got their own perception of what this condition is. It's got so many different ways of, one, it can break up a marriage. One should give birth to a child with autism. If you're married to someone who's autistic, or cause you havoc. Even if you work with someone who might have the condition but it's never been diagnosed, can really bring a lot of problems and issues within the workplace. So autism is something that I'm so passionate to find out a little bit about what this condition is today, even though I have a little bit of knowledge. But I have the expert with me, Sandra. So Sandra Mami Pokua, I'd like to welcome you to Dimpers TV.
Oh, thank you so much.
It's such an honor to have you here, because the work you're doing is so amazing.
Oh, thank you.
And it was such a pleasure to be able to meet you in person and speak to you about what autism is about.
Thank you.
And I think today's show is going to be really amazing. So viewers, if you're watching this afternoon, share it, comment, ask a question. You can always ring us after, or you can always send us a WhatsApp message. So I'd like to welcome you all to Dimpers TV, and welcome Sandra Mami Pokua.
Thank you. Thank
Wonderful,
you.
lovely to meet you.
And you as well, at last.
Especially in person as well, isn't
Yes,
it? It's unbelievable.
yes, at last.
Yeah. Great
And
stuff.
you said a professional. You said someone who is an expert.
Yeah.
I'm an expert as a mother.
A mother. Yeah. Let me get that right, viewers. Yeah. As a mother, Sandra's got a son who's got autistic. Autism rather,
yes,
yeah.
Yes.
To be honest with you, sometimes those that are closer to, for example, I'm going to give my example from my point of view.
Yeah.
I live with dyslexia, dyspraxia, dyscalculia, and all the other dyses you can think of. Now, I can talk about my condition from a place of, I live with it.
Yeah.
It's great that I've got a professional person who studied it,
Yeah.
so I can talk to you from the professional point of view. But if you don't live with a condition, you can't explain it the same way.
Yes.
So I'm just going to recap on that actually, and just rephrase that slightly if that's okay. So Sandra Mami Pokua has got a son who's autistic.
Yeah.
Can I use that
Yes,
word?
yes,
Yeah?
definitely.
And of course, as a parent, you've got a lot more to tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So welcome.
Thank you so much. So that's what makes me an expert. Yes,
exactly.
As a mother, you know, having someone who have autism in my family. Yeah. So rightly you said, I have five
children.
Yes.
Amazing. Well done. Well done to you. Yeah. 5
children, 1 grandson, and I'm sure they'll be watching me from Manchester, because that's where my grandson lives.
Yeah.
And so the 5 children, I have 4 boys and 1 girl. So the third son is the one who has autism.
Right.
Yeah. And he was diagnosed from the ages of 18 months.
Oh wow.
Yes.
That young.
Yes, that
Okay.
young. Yeah.
What were some of the signs or behaviour that he might have exhibited which led you to go and get professional help? What sort of things were they?
You know, like as a mother, obviously having 3 other older ones before him, so you expect that he would start to speak maybe from 13, 14 months, because that's when they start saying mama, dada, you know. So, I mean, he did actually start initially saying, you know, mommy, daddy, and his sibling's name. But when he was around 16 months, it kind of just changed, you know. No, sorry, that's not true. When he was 18 months, it changed. And this was around the same time when there was an issue with the MMR. I don't know if you remember.
I do remember, yeah.
So that time as well, so much was going on, whether you give your child
the jab or not.
or you don't, you know, which I chose to. But then around 18 months, he just stopped saying the mama, the dada, and all his siblings' name, and just kind of went withdrawal, you know, wouldn't come and sit with the rest of us. Or he would, but then he would be so noisy, having high pitch kind of like noises, just gathering a lot of his toys to himself and just playing with those toys and not, you know, interacting with everybody else in the room. So that kind of gave me a cause for concern that I need to take him to have a hearing test, because a lot of parents tend to think that when your child starts behaving in that kind of manner where they just by themselves, even when you're calling him, he tends to look away, or he's not even looking at you when you call him. You start thinking, oh, maybe has he got a hearing problem?
Of course,
because he's not responding. So that was my initial thought, to take him to have a hearing test, because when we would call him, he wasn't responding back. You know, so with that, and also just wanting to be by himself and having a very high pitch, you know, voice.
Okay.
Which was not words, just making some really high pitched noises.
I see.
So I thought, and then he was always crying more, you know. So I thought, no, I need to take him to the GP.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you took him to the GP at the age of 18 months, was that, how long was the period of him being diagnosed with the condition?
It took about 6 months.
Okay.
Because, you know, normally you go and they say, oh, we'll put you on we will refer you.
Yeah.
And you know that can take forever.
I know how that feels like, exactly, yeah.
And of course, as a parent, you know, you're living with these kind of signs that you've noticed already, and you're being told that you need to wait a couple of months before you get to see a specialist. So you're very anxious, and you're wondering, when am I going to see someone, and when is someone going to tell me why my child is behaving the way they're behaving? You know, so yeah, it took about 6 months, and then finally we got to see the specialist.
Okay, so when you saw the specialist, from the point you saw the specialist, and obviously all the reports all now been written, and I know how thick those reports can be, because I've been through that journey with someone who lives with specific learning difficulties and multiple disabilities.
Yes.
So I do understand how thick that report can be.
Yeah.
Was it explained to you that, look, your child has autism, and then how did you receive that message? Did you have knowledge about autistic?
No, you know, to be honest, funny enough, you know, it wasn't until I was told about my son that I realized that I had met people with children that have autism, because when you don't know, or when you haven't been through the experience and you see somebody else, you know, you think differently. So now I was on that same side. So I would say yes, I knew other, you know, parents or families, but I didn't know that was autism, you know, which is something we'll talk about later. So yeah, when they told me, I was kind of shocked. And then it's like, you know, flashbacks of seeing other children or seeing other families with somebody that showed that similar, you know, but I didn't think that was autism at the time, because I didn't know that's some of the signs, you know. But that day when we went in for the diagnosis, it was a long afternoon. We were there for a couple of hours, because obviously at his age at that time, you know, we had to stop, calm him down, try and get him to do certain things, you know, to actually get the right diagnosis. But before that day, we had gone for a hearing test.
Okay.
You know, and that was, all along I felt that, you know, he must have a hearing problem, because he wasn't looking at anybody in the house, you know. So I was just waiting for them to say, oh, he's probably got a hearing problem, and this is what we're going to do for him. So I prepared my mind for that, actually, because I noticed that he wasn't, you know, mixing with the rest of his siblings in the house, not responding. But when we went for that hearing test and they said, oh, his ears are fine, I was like, okay, so if his hearing is okay, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know? So when we went for this assessment for him to be diagnosed, never did I think that they would mention the word autism to me. You know,
I
never,
understand
never,
that.
you
Yeah.
know. So I was just so calm and just allow them to do what they needed to do, you know. And at the end of the report, you know, he just turned to me and said, I'm afraid to tell you that your son has autism.
Okay.
And then he started telling me some of the conditions that comes with being autistic. And that day was just like, my whole world just kind of changed within.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine how that must have felt.
Yes.
What sort of impact did it have on your family? I.e., was you married at the time?
Yes, I
Yeah.
was.
So when did you go with your partner or husband for the assessment?
Yes.
So that's another complete
That's
different
another
topic completely. But I will touch upon it slightly.
Yes, yes.
So when you went back and you said to your partner, look, our son's got this condition.
Yes.
What was his reaction?
I mean, thinking about it now, because we both didn't really know
Yeah.
what autism was. It was just a word to him.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of our guys, it's like, okay, you deal with it.
I don't know whether I should say unfortunately or whatever. But anyway, yeah, it's your issue. You deal with it.
Yeah, because we both don't know what autism is. So telling him is just telling him what they've said, but not expecting him to know what autism is, or, you know, so it's like, okay. But it wasn't until he was like developing, growing up, and, you know, we noticed more signs of him not sitting still, just running around and holding the ears and banging his head and scratching, and
Wow.
you know.
Is he
so-
sensitive to noise?
Yes, very.
Yeah.
Which is one of the, you know, conditions or signs that comes with being autistic.
Okay.
Even now at the age of 18.
So did your ex-husband at that time, did he kind of thought, well, let me go and do a little bit of research about this and support my wife, maybe?
No,
Which is
I
what
think
normal people do.
no.
Okay, what happened after that?
Well, you know, I'm speaking from my own
From your own
personal.
personal,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know about other people, but you know, normally when you get a news like this, normally it's the women that go out to do all the research. I'm not saying some guys don't, you know, but mostly it's us women who want to delve deeper and find out, what does this mean, what can I do. So I think it was me sort of like having to encourage him to embrace what we've been told and then go out to learn more. But I was doing more of the for training, going for workshops, going to meet the doctors, because my ex-husband is very quiet, so he doesn't really say much. So even if we go, I will be doing more of the talking and asking more of the questions, you know. So yeah, I think it was left to me to go out, get it, bring it home, and then now feed it to the whole family.
Right.
Because don't forget, my children, his siblings,
Yeah.
were also going through.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because friends were asking, what's wrong with your brother? Why does he behave like this?
I can imagine.
And they themselves were like asking, what's wrong with our brother? Why is it that I have to give this to him?
Okay.
You know, because to keep him quiet, you just give him what he wants so that everybody else can have peace.
Yeah.
So they had to go through that kind of like changes, emotional roller coaster of having to see their younger sibling being the center of attention in everything that we did.
Yeah, which you had to do it that way because
Yes.
he's got a condition that you
Yeah.
need to obviously give him the attention.
Yes.
Because, I mean, I've met in the past, a few friends of mine or people that I know may have a child with autism,
Yeah,
and it's very challenging.
very, very.
It's very challenging.
Yeah.
So they do need that special attention. So I guess it had an impact on the siblings,
Yes.
so to speak.
Yes, I mean, they need the attention, but it's also explaining to the rest of the family why that person needs the attention. You know, because sometimes, because obviously it affects the whole family.
Yeah.
If you don't make the rest of them feel loved, but at the same time, I love you, but for now, let's give more attention to your sibling. It can sort of like make them feel very isolated and withdrawal and start to think, what's wrong with me? Why aren't I getting the same attention like,
Yeah.
you know, my sister or my brother?
Yeah.
And like you rightly said, it can also, you know, break up marriages.
Which is something I was going to move on to. Do you think it contributed to the breakup of your marriage? And I mean, you can be as honest as you want to be, because it moves me on to another question.
Yes,
Yeah.
it contributed, but I wouldn't say it was the main reason, you know, why we had our marriage break up. But at the same time, I can say that when we did break up, I thought of, wow, how can two parents who have a child who needs them both feel that, you know, I don't mind for you to carry on,
But I'm gone.
but I'm gone.
Yeah, and
you
I
know.
can sympathise with you on that, because my daughter's got sickle cell condition,
Yeah,
and when she was born, it was like, it's more your family, not mine.
yeah.
But yeah, when the blood test came out, it's like,
But it takes two to
it takes
tango.
two to tango, you see what I mean? Which brings me on to, like, in fact, speaking to the viewers to say
Yeah.
that please do comment and do share, and if you've got any question, please do send us that question, because the next thing I was going to actually talk about is maybe put a question out there to say, the women are left holding the babies, but I'd like to ask the viewers, and also a few comments to come forward, why do the men think it's okay for them to move on? You know? It's devastating for both of us.
Yes.
And don't even forget that we have to carry this baby for 9 months, push it out, and then nurture this baby.
Yeah.
And at the point of having a child with a condition is when I need you. So
Yeah.
moving on, thinking that, look, I'm gone, I'm going to leave you to carry this burden. If it's something that's hereditary or is in the gene, don't forget, as you move on, you might meet someone else and have.
Well, no names, obviously, we never mention names, but I've actually witnessed a situation where someone who's not that close to me, but I know, left thinking that, okay, it's from your side.
I'm off.
Went, and they had 2 children with somebody new having a disability, you know, and I know 2 people.
And obviously, the same problem that the person who won't mention the name was running away from, he encountered it with someone else.
Yeah.
Which brings me to the point that I just want to share this with the viewers. When conditions are there, and I think predominantly in our culture, we tend to kind of not want to talk about this, and we tend to run away. Yeah, we think it's your problem, it's a curse, it's from your family, it's from your mum, your dad, your granddad, and then run off,
Yes.
The only thing I wanted to say, and I want to actually speak to the viewers right now, is that if you're watching this program and you've done something similar, thinking, well, actually it's not my problem if you've got a child with a disability and I'm off, think twice. Because sometimes these conditions can be, I'm not saying autism is, but some of these conditions could be hereditary. For example, dyslexia is something that's in the gene, it's in the family. So finding out that your child have this condition and you're running off, you may go somewhere else and give birth, and that could continue.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure about autism, how.
Well, you see, with autism,
You know, how do you,
autism
is it
more-
hereditary?
well, they're still doing a lot of investigation into it, you know, because it's more a neurodevelopmental condition,
Yeah.
you know, but they're doing more research to find out whether if it's something that they can correct or, you know, and because there's so much research going on, you know, you tend to hear of different kind of treatments which works for, I mean, it works in different ways for everybody.
Yeah.
But I can't really say right now that, you know, autism is because of this, because they're still doing a lot more research.
I mean, but surely, Sandra, you know, when we meet our partners, and for example, when I had my daughter and I find out that she's got sickle cell condition, and when I spoke to my ex-husband, who's my ex-husband now, he was very sort of adamant that no way, it's not from him. But when all the tests and everything was done and it came back as he does have that condition, I then linked the two and thought, well, actually, it is hereditary. Just what I mean. So sometimes we might not even know that we have these special conditions. We have a certain condition. And then as we give birth to our children is when all these things exhibit. And I think moving forward and speaking to the audience, to the viewers, just to say that sometimes when we meet these partners, perhaps something like sickle cell, for example, can we do a blood test?
Well, with
to make
sickle
sure.
cell, you
Yeah,
can,
you
but
can.
I
Autism,
don't know
obviously
about
not.
with autism.
Yeah.
But you know what I always say is, okay, with sickle cell, it's very good to get a test
Absolutely.
before
Both
you get
partners.
married.
Yeah.
But when it comes to autism, you don't know. And before you take the vows, you say for better, for worse, in sickness, in
and
health.
Yeah.
So when you have a child with a condition like, you know, autism, or it could be any other condition, you know, like you said rightly, it's not the time for you to just pack your bags and say, I'm going because this doesn't come from my family.
Yeah.
When you're coming together, everything that's going to come later is part of the risk when you're coming together, that you're prepared to stay together, you're prepared no matter what, you're going to carry the cross together.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it doesn't happen
like that. And I just wanted to really just say to the viewers that if anybody's going through any of these issues that we've covered this afternoon, please do drop us a comment, and also you can call us. The number will be on the screen. Please do ring us, and if you don't want to speak, I mean, your phone call is anonymous. It's not shared with anybody. It's anonymous, and we treat everything here confidential. So you can ring and speak to Sandra, who's obviously got a child who's got the condition.
Yeah.
Or as the show go on, later on, we might bring experts on the show to actually tell you and point you to the right direction of where you can go. But just going back to the conversation we were having, the men out there, I'm tackling it today. If you are going through, if you've got a child with someone who may have a certain condition, and you've actually moved on and thinking that's not my problem, think twice. And think really careful about just up and going. I know marriages, we all go into marriages, hope that it will last forever. Yeah. But if it doesn't work for whatever reason, even if you do decide to leave for whatever reason, may not be specifically because of the condition of the child, but can you literally help us or get involved in it, because it's not an easy task.
And I'll add to what Lizzie has just said. You know, it's not just the men. Some women actually do leave the men with the children
as well. Okay.
And you know, I've been told of one here. I haven't met the father myself, but when I was in Ghana, there was a father that I did meet. The mother left him with
the child,
with the
so it can work both ways.
So it's both ways, you know. And this stigma that we have within our community, that everything that is bad or has some kind of a condition is not from me, it's from your side. We you know, it's not going to happen overnight, but more education. We need to break this stigma. Absolutely. You know, because it's really affecting. It's affecting our wider, you know, community generation. You know, and what I worry about our young people as well, who are they're getting more education than we did. You know, but with a lot of young men who may have autism or dyslexia, or whatever, you know, having no father figure or no mother figure growing up, not having the right kind of mentoring from both parents, can pass on to their generation. Because even now, I know this will be another topic, but if you go into our prisons now, a lot of young black men have learning disabilities in prison, you know. And when you find out a bit more about them, they don't have either their father there, or you know, something has happened where both parents aren't there. You know,
because there's not much awareness out there, and there's not much education for people to kind of learn.
But then because there isn't much education or awareness, like we said, you shouldn't just up and go because you've had a son who is too much to handle in a home, and he doesn't listen, and he's always in trouble, and he's always this. You don't know why your young man is turning into the way he is, because we don't want to go out and get help.
Do you think it's the stigma attached to it? Maybe because they feel like, I don't know what you class as norm, inverted commas, but they don't see that, and they think, well, actually, I don't want to be associated with that, and I need to keep explaining to people.
There is a lot of stigma. there is a lot and a lot of stigma.
Just moving on, Sandra, I just wanted to ask you, what is the statistics for autism in the UK?
Well, at the moment, you know, according to like the National Autistic Society, there's like there's like 70 or 700,000, but there's more. Because a couple of months ago, when I went with to the House of Commons with Guba was doing something, and we invited. They invited someone from the National Autistic Society to come, and this question was put to her: that how many people from this number who are Afro-Caribbean, you know, have the condition. She wasn't able to say because there's a lot more of us out there who have not actually gone forward to get a diagnosis. So the numbers that I've just read out is just what they have on paper, but there is not. There could. I know there's definitely more.
Wow.
Definitely more.
Wow.
You know.
Oh wow, this is really, really amazing.
Yes.
It's great that, and of course, with the condition that your son have, which is autism, you decide to do something about it.
Yes, I did actually decide to do something in his name.
Right, absolutely.
Because when the news was, you know, given to me of my son's condition diagnosis, I was like, okay, wow, what do you want me to do now, God? Because you don't just give, for giving's sake. You give because you have a reason and a purpose. I believe that every child, including you and I, we are here for a purpose.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I said, well, I'm sure Jonathan has, there's others like himself, because I mentioned earlier that I'd met parents with children in Jonathan's, you know, with Jonathan's condition, but I didn't know that was autism. So I said, let me, you know, just have a charity in honor of him, that Jonathan and friends, meaning that everybody else out there who has similar condition, they're all one family. You know, they're friends, they're not necessarily blood sibling, but you know, they're all as one. So, you know, I decided to just name the charity after him. And along the way, everything that I do within the charity is something that I myself is experiencing, because I don't believe in doing something if you yourself is not going through it. You know, so that when you talk about it, people can actually say, yes, I went through that, or, you know, I'm going through the same. You know, how can we get support from each other? And so with the charity, we've gone to Ghana, and you know, Ghana now, they're doing a lot of, you know, awareness now. Still need more, but when I started to go to Ghana with my son at the when he was much younger, I realized that, you know, the awareness was not there, because at that time he was not talking and he was very hyperactive, running around, making noise, pushing, whatever. And I would find that at the airport, you know, people would be saying, you know, look at this child, he's from abroad.
And that he's not well behaved? Is that the kind of words they use?
And I'm like, oh, you people don't know what I'm going through. So, you know, with the awareness now that is happening in Ghana as well, you know, it makes it easier for people to now understand that when you see a young person with the kind of signs that they have when they are autistic, you're not quick to judge, but that's only a small minority.
I can imagine we've got a long way to go.
But we're still pushing, you know. So the charity now, we're sort of like targeting more the older older people with autism, learning disabilities, because obviously everything I do it with what I'm going through. And now Jonathan is 18, so I'm kind of like now targeting the older ones of his age to know what we can do to support them in the community. Because when they reach 18, there isn't really much for them to do, even here. There isn't much.
Oh, that's really amazing. That's really amazing, Sandra, that, you know, you obviously wanted to do something to support other people that are going through this. So Johnny and Friends
for
Autism is here in the UK as well as Ghana.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
So at the moment we have a building that we're trying to raise funds to open up in Ghana. so that you know, we can have like a resource center, not a school,
Yeah.
a center where they can just come, learn basic skills, put them out in the community to work voluntary in, you know, local companies, for us to go out, visit, you know, people within the community as well. Yeah.
I've actually met a few autistic people, and they're so talented.
Very.
And a lot of them, I mean, once you can kind of draw out what they're very good at,
Yes.
some of them are really, really amazing. They're talented people. I
Yeah.
mean, there was a program recently where an autistic person who's got photographic memory,
Okay.
so he can draw like the whole London.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So if we can kind of tap into that and find out the skills and talent they've got,
Definitely.
surely, you know, they can be accepted in society just like everyone else.
They should
Yeah.
be accepted,
Absolutely.
you know. And this is another thing that I tell some of my parents, because I have some of the parents that I know in our community saying, oh, my daughter is never going to get married or never mount up to anything because they have a disability.
That's heartbreaking.
And I tell them, my son definitely is getting married.
He's looking for a girlfriend at the
Yeah,
moment, isn't
he
he?
is.
Johnny wants a girlfriend,
Yeah,
so
he wants
hey.
a girlfriend, an
That's
English
amazing.
girl.
That's
So
really amazing.
we shouldn't belittle them because they do have a lot of talent. You know, he's very good with computers. He loves drawing, but he's not verbal.
He's not verbal. He's non-verbal.
He's verbal, but it's very limited, and he tends to use the iPad more. You know, he uses that at school as well. He can't read signs, like if he's out, he always needs to have someone because he could get lost on the bus.
Yes.
You know, and this is another thing with having autism, because people expect that because you're autistic, you know, it should be something that shows as well as, you know, it should show on you in terms of, like, you know, people who can't walk or are in wheelchair, you know, they're in wheelchair because they cannot walk.
Yeah,
but with autism, it's not like that.
It's unless they exhibit the behaviour, you
That's
don't see it.
Yes.
So I guess once they exhibit that type of behaviour,
Yes.
people tend to think, oh, why is that person behaving that way?
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah, I do understand. But anyway,
Yes.
I've got loads of questions here,
Oh,
Sandra, and I think
okay.
we've got plenty of time. So, and I think it's really fascinating to
Yeah.
hear, you know, that autism isn't like the end of it. You
No,
know, people
it's
think
not.
my child's got autism. I mean, I know a few people that would probably hide their children.
Oh, but
because,
they do.
Because someone's coming to visit them, they
Yeah,
think, oh God,
they
look,
do.
this child is too naughty.
They do.
They'll hide them,
Yeah,
you know.
they do.
But I don't think really, and again, I'm speaking to the viewers here, I
Yeah.
don't really think it's anything to be ashamed of.
No, it's not.
What you need to do rather is find out what your child is good at, tap into that,
Yes.
and let them excel. Because,
Definitely.
like Sandra said earlier, each one of us here are here for a purpose
Yeah.
and a reason. And we've all got our unique talents and
Definitely.
skills,
Yeah,
which I think, you know, mums, dads out there that are watching us at the moment, please, you know, accept that it is a condition. Go for the help that you need.
Yeah.
Once you get the help, you just excel. You know, I mean, we're very fortunate to be sort of living in a society
Yeah.
where these days all you got to do is go on Google,
And
my best
everything is
friend,
there.
and everything's there, and you can find out what you need to find out.
Yeah.
You know, rather than maybe being ashamed or hiding a child, or even if you're yourself as a parent, if you have the condition, I think you should really kind of say to yourself, look, hey, it is what it is, and then just move on with it, and hopefully we can educate the world together. Yeah?
You know, I have dyslexia as well.
Oh right, okay.
But this was only found out when I was at uni.
Oh, I see.
Because, and when I went for the diagnosis, the test, it brought back memories of when I used to be at school and I used to see myself as being stupid.
Oh wow.
You know, you don't do, you kind of put yourself down because you feel that you can't do it, and you just sort of like say, I'm not going to carry on because it gets too much for you. Everything gets too much in there,
Yeah.
and you just don't want to carry on any further.
Yeah.
You know, and in those days, I know probably dyslexia existed, but it wasn't much diagnosed among us.
Yeah.
So it wasn't something that, you know, would be picked up, you know, while you're at school. But when I was at uni, it got so much that I almost just gave up. I said I didn't want to carry on with the course. It was just too much. And they said, why is it too much? So when I started telling them why I felt it was too much, they said, have you heard of dyslexia? I'm like, what's that? Okay. So when I had the diagnosis, and with the things that they were asking me to do, I said, wow, so I've suffered with this for so long, for over, 30 years or so, and I didn't know that, I could have had the help. So a lot of us don't go for the help. We don't want, because we feel that, oh, you don't need it.
It's not even that. Again, it's a stigma attached,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, you don't need
because
it.
Because there's not much understanding out
Yeah.
there. But I also know that, according to research as well, one could have autism, dyslexia, all those conditions under one umbrella.
Yeah.
And sometimes some conditions are more dominant than the other.
The other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So
I mean, I have
thank
a
you for
friend.
sharing
Yeah. So don't think that we're sitting here. We don't have our own.
Exactly. Yeah.
I have a friend. She has she has 3 sons. They're all autistic, and she said, "Do you know what? I think my husband may also have autism. And I said, possibly, because the kind of signs that this man shows in the house, with our boys, I think maybe."
Okay, he needs to go and get help. Yeah.
What I'm saying is that autism is not just for the younger ones. Even the older ones who have been missed, now you can even go and get a diagnosis. Because I believe in getting the help so that you can excel in your potentials. Because there's so much in you that needs to come out, but you need the extra help for that to come out. And so don't just belittle yourself or put up this barrier and say, oh no, it's okay, I'm all right the way I am. No, you can be better.
And sometimes also when you don't seek the help and you kind of bottle it all in,
isolation.
There's other sort of conditions that come out of that, mental health, depression, anxiety, and all those other things that can lead to so many complications. Wow. So moving on swiftly, I've got a few more questions for you, Sandra. Okay, I think we've kind of answered a few of them. Together.
Yes.
Instead of me bullet pointing them, I've got them here, but you've kind of answered a few of them for me, which is amazing. So we spoke about the statistically how many people. So what is it? Is it 1 in? Because I know, like for example, dyslexia is 1 in 10. So autism, what's the figure? Would it be what?
To be honest with you, I can't really comment much on that side.
Yeah, I guess we could do some research on that.
But I can say, as I said earlier. What we have on paper is not the actual numbers, but looking, generally around you or people that you know, there's more out there. There's a lot more young people or young men that have autism.
Is it predominantly
boys?
Men in boys than it is in girls?
Yes.
Is that because maybe girls mask it quite well? Do you think?
I wouldn't say. I don't know, but I know that if you take 10 children that have autism, you probably find that maybe only 3 are girls and the rest are boys. I really don't know why the boys are more affected. It's something that I myself have to do more research. That's why I said I'm more an expert as a mother than someone who is a professional knowing about all these statistics. But when you see like I said 10 young people with autism, you see that more boys have the autism than the girls.
So I really wanted to kind of dive a bit more. So we know Johnny's autistic.
Yes.
We find out that.
Yes.
We've got all the reports, the recommendation, the educational healthcare plan. We've got all that in place. So then Johnny's then getting your help by supporting him to fly and also be a better person in society.
Yeah.
But I wanted to move on to yourself as a mother. What was your mental state or the things you were going through when you were given this news?
Now I can boldly say I'm so proud to be his mom.
Okay.
But at the time I was questioning God, why me? Why do you have to allow me to go through this shame, as a lot of people see it, they still see it like it's a shame, Why do I have a child with this kind of condition where people see you and they're laughing or they're talking behind your back? And I went through all that, I went through stages of being angry with people, because when you're out with your son, people are staring, people are upset with you, that why are you allowing him to behave the way he's behaving? Why can't you keep him quiet? Why can't you? I've even had people to tell me to get off the bus. So that alone makes you feel like, why am I going through all this by myself? And then you get angry, you know. You get angry at everybody around you. You get angry with yourself. You pity yourself. You have a pity party. You cry in your room. And you're wondering when this is going to be over. You have thoughts in your mind, you know.
I can identify with that. Yeah.
You have thoughts in your mind, and obviously people see you outside and you're all made up and everything, and they think that you're having a wonderful time, but you know you're not, you know, because you don't know what tomorrow is going to be like. You have the school ringing you, come and pick him up, because he's throwing things in the classroom, and you're wondering, am I ever going to have a life of my own?
Yeah.
But he's made me see what people are really like.
Yes.
In terms of who is my true friend.
Yeah.
You know, and he's actually made me to be a stronger person, to learn more, to excel, to fight more, because I realize as well that we are their voice.
Absolutely.
So if you don't speak up for them, they don't have anyone to speak up for them.
Yeah.
So am I going to sit around and just having a pity party and saying, oh, why me, and he's growing up but not having anything? Or are you just going to wake up and say, look, he's given to me for a purpose, and so whatever it is, I'm going to make sure that it comes to pass.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there like a support group for mums or parents, so to speak?
Yeah, there are support groups, but I find that when they get older, there isn't many.
Much help, for them.
There isn't many support groups.
Yeah.
But when he was younger, I mean, they had, they've got things like Contact a Family, where they do, you know, like a day trip, workshops where you get to meet other parents. But now, most of the support group that I am part of is more like platforms of WhatsApp groups, you know, and maybe...
As he's getting older.
You know, and then we help each other. Because we still have parents who are still, even though their children are older, they haven't sought the help that I'm always telling parents, get all the support and help and even the benefits that is due theirs, because a lot of our parents don't claim.
Right, because obviously if they're moving away from what is a condition and they don't want to accept it, they can't even go down that route yet.
That's it. Or they feel that if they claim it, it means that they've accepted.
Wow. So what advice would you give to anyone out there by looking in that camera and telling people if they need help?
Well, you know what?
Just get real, Sandra. Tell it as it is, because that's what we do. Yeah.
All I can say is if you're watching us right now and you've been given the news, please have your cry. I went through that crying moment, but snap out and tell yourself, okay, this is a new life for me. What is out there for me to better myself and to better my child? Ring National Autistic Society, because they will have the various support groups on their platform, depending on the area that you live. And even if they don't have much, at least still they are the main link for you to get the right help. Don't feel sorry for yourself, or don't allow people to make you feel like you're small. I have this group, we're called the Super Mummies. Some people say, why are you saying you're Super Mummies? Because for me, for you to do the kind of job we do with our kids, you need that strength.
Absolutely.
You need to be super. And so you are somebody that is special, and God has chosen you to be that parent for that child.
So viewers, you've heard it from Sandra, who is the founder of Johnny and Friends Foundation. Johnny and Friends for Autism, right, which is in the UK as well as in Ghana. Now, you've heard Sandra's story. It's really inspiring, and I'm really honoured to have someone who's passionate about supporting others with children with autism. That's really amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Just before we go, I just want to say that Dimpest TV, obviously we're here and we're supporting the community, we're bringing awareness, we're talking about the different hidden subjects that we don't talk about. Remember, we don't talk about these things
Yes.
because we're perfect, in vertical commas. We're not perfect. Things happen. We have disabilities in Ghana.
Yep.
We have all sorts of issues going as well. And Dimpers TV, this platform has been given to us to be open
Yeah.
about things like this. We want to be able to serve our community, educate our community, and also bring awareness of all the different conditions that we might have. Now, of course, we're looking for sponsors. For this program to run and to go on, it costs something.
Yeah.
Our wonderful Odenaho, who puts everything on without a penny. He's his own financial that he supports this program with. So we're looking for sponsors. If you can sponsor us in any shape or form, whether it's by, you know, giving a little bit of donation to what we do, or spreading a word, or if you know someone that might be able to support us, it'll all be beneficial to our community.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to say thank you very much for watching us today. Thank you to Sandra. But before I actually end, Sandra will be co-hosting Disabilities with myself.
Can't wait.
Every sort of second Sunday, so
Yes.
all different topics. We've got topics on sickle cell, mental health, all the other conditions that there is out there. Thank you for watching us. Bye bye.
Mountains, we gon' walk it out.